So tonight I want to talk about this. This is the Rolling Stones' latest, greatest 100 guitar players of all time. And so Nikki got me this. She went shopping today, and I'm sure it was expensive. It's a very nice book. $14.99, $15 book. And of course, they've got Eddie Van Halen on the front in tribute to Eddie. And I'm sure that some marketing person said, oh, wow, with the death of Eddie Van Halen, we should jump to it and get another top 100 guitar players out. So I kind of don't like that they did that. But hey, it's interesting always to me to look at this list, because as a guitar player, I know that if Guitar Magazine were to do one of these, Guitar Player Magazine or Guitar World or some other authority that's more aimed toward guitarists, it'd be a totally different list than what we're going to have with this one, right? I mean, we know that in Rolling Stone, I'm just going to guess what's in here. I told Nikki I'd do a video on this, but we know that Rolling Stone is going to look more at influence. Influences with songs, with popularity, with what did they contribute to their band. They're not going to look at technical ability. We know, for instance, that a guitar player like Keith Richards is going to rate really high on a list like this, when honestly, Keith Richards is, he deserves to be in the top 100. But Keith's not, he's not a technically spectacular guitar player. He's definitely got hooks. And but he'll be way up there, and other guitar players we think ought to be in there as a guitar player won't be in there. But I thought what I'd do is just real quickly run through all these things, and to me it's interesting. There's usually a little bit of hypocrisy, I think, in these lists, because it's like they'll put certain people that they think ought to be in there because of this, just the fact that they're a legend, like Scotty Moore. Scotty should be in there, right? James Burton should be in there from Elvis. Good pickers, but let's face it, Scotty had about 30 licks that he used, and that's about all he had. But then you won't have certain people, so like Scotty is a country rockabilly type guy, but then you might not even have Brian Setzer or somebody in there who took rockabilly to a whole new other form or level. It's always interesting to me. They'll have people like Joni Mitchell, I'm sure, is going to be in here somewhere, and Joni's great. Alternate tunings, great singer, tremendous songwriter, good guitar player, but you usually don't have somebody like Nancy Wilson in there, who is a great singer and great songwriter and great guitar player too. You usually have people like Bonnie Raitt, and Bonnie should be in there, but you don't have people like Joan Jett or Lita Ford, or so in other words, we know we're going to have some great technical guitar players in here that do deserve to be in here, and others that, I don't know, it's just odd. It's odd how there'll be certain ones that you think should be in there, and then other ones that could just as arguably be in there, and they're not. So let's go through it, and I can already see on the back some of the people they're going to have in here. George Harrison's going to be here. I see Pete Townsend. I see Prince. Let's go through and look at some of these. I don't know how this, it opens up. It's very colorful. Looks like a very colorful, pretty magazine. And there's Eddie right off the bat. And introduction, it's got some stuff about Eddie, and what a killer picture. When I did my little tribute to Eddie not too long back, I talked about how you could take 1,000 pictures of him in a concert, and it looked like a poster every time. It's a good picture. I'm just flip through. So Eddie looks back. These may be some older articles. I'm going to read every one of these because I'm a huge Eddie fan. Definitely Eddie deserves to be in the top 5, I think. Top 10, probably they'll put him here. Okay, so here it looks like they actually started. No surprise. We know Hendrix is going to be number 1. Hendrix is always number 1. Even among guitar players, most people are going to say Hendrix number 1. I'm not going to get all into that. People will argue one way or the other. Some people think he's overrated. I think Hendrix was an innovator, very musical player, and he influenced a lot of people. Is Hendrix number 1? Yeah, he deserves to be in the top 10, doesn't he? I think probably the top 5. And number 1, I never argue that. I almost guarantee Clapton's going to be number 2. You're going to have Jeff Beck's going to be in here. You're going to have Jimmy Page. You're going to Tony Iommi's going to be here. So they're going to give the due to metal. The thing that always gets me is they always give Tony a nod, and then they don't other metal players that were really awesome too, that deserve to be in there. Usually people like Randy Rhoads get relegated somewhere back farther. Let's keep on looking to see. So who? Jimmy. Yes, number 2, Eric Clapton. I could, and hey, I'm a huge Clapton fan. And yeah, Clapton has done it for a long time, hasn't he? 50 years of just awesomeness. You know, whether you think he's great or not, I've got a lot of concert footage that proves that he is great. It was one of the first concert I saw him at was Another Ticket tour. He had a song called I Can't Stand It. And now a guitar player that played with him named Albert Lee, right? Yeah, was there that night. And I thought just as good as Eric was, way better actually, and today more proficient, but he won't be in here either. Jimmy Page, of course, yeah, Jimmy deserves to be in there. Super influential. Keith Richards, number 4. I figured he'd be 3 or 4 or 5, something like that. So yeah, so you know, here's the thing I get. Keith, you so sure, Keith's songwriter. He and Mick put together a lot of great, tremendous songs. But how about Ronnie Wood? Why not Ronnie? Brian Jones, is he going to be in here? Sometimes they do put Brian in. Tremendous musical player, better than Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck deserves to be in there. Definitely top 5. Jeff just is awesome. Jeff is great. Nobody sounds like that. B.B. King. Okay, now yeah, I can see B.B. Should B.B. be number 6? From an influence point of view, maybe. You know, so that means that people like Albert Collins need to be in here, and people like Elmore James, and people like Muddy Waters, and you know, they're always going to put, the one I always see put in here that I don't know is John Lee Hooker. Now, I know tremendous influence on other players. Was he a great player? I mean, he's a good player. Mississippi Fred McDowell, all these people, the Freddie King, Albert King, they better be in here if BB is, right? So let's keep on rolling and see what we got. We got Chuck Berry. Yeah, Chuck should be in there. Chuck is a great rock and roll guitar player, and a guy that got a lot of stuff started. Played, I saw Eddie Van Halen, put Eddie number 8. Okay. Could have been higher, in my opinion, but there you go. I mean, definitely the most influential guitar player of the last 35 or 40 years. I'd say so. So, you know, okay, so if you got one of the most influential guitar players of the last 35, 40 years, rock and roll guitar player, Van Halen was huge. Different iterations of Van Halen. Where will Alex Lifeson be from Rush? You just wait. I would be surprised if Alex is in the top 70 guitar players. And just as influential, just around as long as Van Halen, maybe more successful over the long haul, as influential. I bet Alex, I think should be in the top 20. Won't be, but he's definitely not top 50. I'll bet you. Dwayne Allman, yeah. Will Dickie Betts be in here? Okay, Dwayne's tremendous. Statesboro Blues alone would make it worth having him in a high echelon. The stuff he did with Derek and Domino's, tremendous. Will Dickie be in here? And if Dwayne's in here, and Dwayne was just a short period of time that Dwayne was alive and around and performing, why not Gary Rosington? Why not Ed King? Why not Alan Collins? Why not Steve Gaines? Probably, definitely Ed King and Gary Rosington, right? Leonard Skinner was more huge, more influential, bigger at that time than the Allman Brothers. Now, yeah, definitely, you got the Derek Trucks people, you got Warren Haynes. Will Warren Haynes be in here? I kind of doubt it. Pete Townsend, yep. Pete deserves to be in the top 10. Is Pete a tremendously technical player? No, but he's a good player, and he's got that. He's a great writer, great performer. Pete is he's another innovator. He's another just legend, living legend. So I can understand why he's in there. George Harrison, yes. Does George deserve to be number 11? I think George deserves to be in the top 30. The Beatles wouldn't have been what the Beatles were, the sound that they had and everything, were it not for George. And George is a tremendous slide player. A lot of the stuff he did later, I think, was as good or better than what he did. Excuse me, got the hiccups. Was better than what he did with the Beatles. Stevie Ray Vaughan. I think he should have been in the top 6 or 7. Stevie was basically a blues rocker. So Stevie had a very narrow window of time that he was playing and performing, really, didn't he? He wasn't around that long before he died. How many real hits did he have? Not a whole lot. Is Joe Bonamassa in here? Now, I know Joe's a newer guy, but Joe's been around 20-some years now. And carrying the torch, Robin Ford. Is Robin going to be here? I know he didn't have the hits, the charisma, the fire maybe that Stevie has. But will be interesting to see. Now, Albert King is in here. Yep, Albert deserves to be in there. Tremendous guitar player. David Gilmour, yeah. Okay, I'm glad they put David in the top 15. Freddie King, there we go. B.B. King, Freddie King, Albert Collins. Derek Trucks, that surprises me. It surprises me that they put Derek that high. Now, you know why? Why does that surprise me? Well, okay, Derek is that awesome guitar player. He would have to be in there because of his technical ability. How many hits has Derek had? Any? How much influence has Derek had? You know, okay, so if Derek Trucks is in here, why? I bet you anything. I bet you Eric Johnson is not. Why would Eric Johnson not be in here if Derek Trucks is? You got a highly technical player, no big hits. Yeah, he's played with the Allman Brothers. He has his own band. He's jammed with lots of people. Guitar festivals. I've seen him. He's tremendous. There's nobody quite like him. But that's like recognizing somebody that's technically great. And I bet you somebody like Steve Morse won't even be in here, who is phenomenal. Played with all these different people, Dixie Dregs and Kansas. Neil Young. Neil's not a great guitar player. Neil's he's a great songwriter. He's another great personality. 17, I would have put him maybe in the top 50, 60, 70. Pretty good, but you know. Les Paul should be higher up, shouldn't he? See, okay, so you got Les Paul. He's jazz, he's country, he's pop to a certain extent. So you got somebody like Les Paul in here. Why not somebody like Jerry Reed? And I bet you Jerry's not in here. I bet Glenn Campbell might be in here. I don't know, Glenn. But you know, so they sort of ignore, they look at the blues end of things. They kind of ignore the gospel end of things. They ignore the country end of things, the jazz end of things, even the classical. I bet Yngwie Malmsteen's not in here, right? But definitely one of the top 100 guitar players, you'd think. James Burton. James should be in there. James was a killer guitar player, better than Scotty Moore. But, you know, James has got a massive bag of tricks, and he's influenced a lot of tremendous players. You know, okay, so this also brings up the thing about, let's talk about more about influence. So would a person like Steve Lukather not be considered a tremendous influence? And I bring him up because he's more of a studio guy. But Steve is tremendous and played on 1,000 different records. So, you know, I'm thinking about people that Tommy Tedesco, should he be, you know, just for history's sake, shouldn't he, somebody like that, be Skunk Baxter? Well, we'll see. We'll see if they're in there. Santana, yeah, Carlos Santana should be in there, I think. Chet Atkins, Chet should be higher up. You know, so Chet, here again, country player, mostly jazz, some pop stylings and stuff like that. Tremendous finger picker. If Chet's in here, why is Tommy Emmanuel not? It'd be interesting to see. I bet Tommy's not. I bet they don't know who Tommy Emmanuel is. Who are some other of those great pickers? You know, people like Leo Cock. We won't talk about Leo Cocky. That does go a little bit more esoteric. Frank Zappa, but you got Frank Zappa. You know, Zappa was crazy good. Buddy Guy, yeah, Buddy Guy is killer guitar player. Angus Young, I think Angus doesn't get anywhere the respect that he should get. As a guitar player, he's just a tremendous player. Here's Tony Iommi. And I give him a big picture, and he does deserve to be in there. Anybody that plays what Tony's done and influenced people, and he only had really 3 fingers to work with. Let's face it, man, he's got like 2 plastic fingers and still kills it. You can see that on here. If you didn't know that, go read about it. It's crazy. Brian May. Okay, good. They put Brian in here. I wonder where Brian May would be. And again, I'm looking for Brian Setzer too. Bo Diddley. So Brian May definitely. Bo Diddley just influenced a lot of people, no doubt. Pretty dang good guitar player. But Johnny Ramone. It's not the Ramones. Okay, I get it. The whole punk type era thing, which means that probably, what's the dude's name? Mick Jones from Sex Pistols will probably be in here, but they'll probably leave Mick Jones, that's with Foreigner, out, who is the better guitar player. Here's Scotty Moore. We got Elmore James, definitely. Ry Cooder, Billy Gibbons. We're up to 32. I should go faster. I agree with all these. You know, Ry Cooder. And here again, here's Ry Cooder, another guy. Just a tremendous. Okay, so you got Ry Cooder again. Why not Robin Ford? He's not had a whole lot of big hits or anything. He's just influenced people. Why not these other people? Prince. You know, the thing about Prince, Prince was a tremendous guitar player. Prince was a maestro, but he was also like a Mozart. You know, Prince really, from a recorded point of view, unless it's something like Little Red Corvette, he plays, you know, what's 1990, Purple Rain. I mean, there's certain ones where he tears it up on the guitar, but most of the time Prince was just a songwriter, a great songwriter. He could play any instrument. To me, he's like the modern Mozart, but not so much like the great guitar player. He was a great performer with his guitar, though. Curtis Mayfield. Now, I'm glad they put that in there. That is sort of a gospel. You know, people get ready. Curtis could play, man. So that surprises me here. John Lee Hooker, I'm not surprised to see John Lee Hooker, although I've never been impressed with John's playing. He's more about a vibe and a mystique and a Randy Rhoads, okay? And they have got Mick Taylor in here. Mick Taylor. So Mick Taylor with the Rolling Stones deserves to be on there. Yeah, tremendous. Randy Rhoads, of course. See, to me, guitar player Randy Rhoads could have been top 20. Top 20, I definitely think. The Edge. Okay, you know what? Now, they got the Edge at 38. Now, see, is the Edge a slamming guitar player? Not so much. Is he more influential than 38? Yes, he is. The Edge, man, ever since the 80s, let's face it, 90% of guitar players basically cop on the Edge. And if you listen to stuff like praise and worship music, they almost every praise and worship song now sounds like the Edge is plugged in and playing with them. So I think he could even been higher from an influence point of view. You got Steve Cropper. Okay, so if you got Steve Cropper, then here again, why don't you have some more studio guys? Now Steve, you know, Steve played in bands. He's Booker T, MGs, people like that. But he should also be in there as like I say, it just seems a little off kilter, doesn't it? Certain people that could be in there based on the fact that what got Steve in there. Tom Morello, nobody's crazier, weirder, bizarre, more cool stuff than Tom Morello, and the way he uses effects and just his aggressive playing, incredible. Mick Ronson, okay, yeah, okay. Mike Bloomfield, definitely. You know, by this point, we usually get into some people I don't know so much about. Hubert Sumlin, big time. Good player, blues player that influenced Clapton a lot. So you know, if you don't know much about him, check him out. Does he deserve to be in the top 450? Maybe. I would have put him a little lower, maybe, but very good. Knopfler, see, Mark Knopfler, I would have put Mark more toward the top. I would have put Mark in the top 20. He's that good. He's that freaking great. Link Ray. So that's who this, I did not know who this was. So Link Ray, of course, what, 1 or 2 big hits? That's about all he had. Da, da, da. What was the name of that song? I can't remember. Not Rumble. Rumble, yeah, Rumble. So, you know, you talk about what was his influence. Well, he big time influenced Jimmy Page. If you watch that video, it might get loud, not the concert, but the documentary. Jimmy has a lot of cool things to say about Link Ray. You know, Link is kind of like one of those guys like Hank Marvin that influenced a lot of people. Were they tremendous players? I think Hank is a tremendous player, just his sense of melody and time and just the tasteful licks and stuff he plays. But, you know, you think of those guys more as influencers of others. Jerry Garcia, Jam Band King. Yeah, he's great. But if Jerry's in there, why not? Okay, will we have, what's the dude from Fish? Why can't I not think of his name? Oh, why am I having a mind fart right now? But he should be in there, right? Warren Haynes should be in there if Jerry's in there, I would think. So let's see if they are. Stephen Stills, you know, a lot of people don't realize how great Stephen Stills was. I think he could definitely be a top 100. Johnny Greenwood, Radiohead, okay. See, I don't know. Yeah, I like Radiohead's music. Is this guy one of the top 100? I don't know. I've never been super impressed with anything I've heard from them. Muddy Waters, definitely. Muddy Waters, he kind of wrote the book, didn't he, on some of the blues licks that other people took and transformed. Ritchie Blackmore should be in the top 15. Richie Blackmore, big time deserves. Johnny Marr, good player. You know, the Smiths, you tell me, in the comments, you tell me, should Johnny be in there? Clarence White, I think so. Otis Rush, definitely. Tremendous player. Joe Walsh, one of the best rock and roll guitar players ever. John Lennon, so we got Lennon there. Well, influential, isn't he? But, you know, apart from what the lick on Revolution, what did John really, from a lead point of view, he played on some songs, he played lead guitar. Here again, it's not about lead guitar, it's about, yeah, okay, so if John's in it, why is Paul not in it? Why is Paul not higher? I know Paul played bass, but do you know that like Paul played almost everything on band and run, on the run? Paul is a tremendous, you know, Blackbird, you got Steph, Paul's as good a guitar player, better guitar player than, probably as good as George, but he of course chose the bass, that's what he's known for. But John, tremendous songwriter, much respect to John, I'm a big John Lennon fan. I'm not going to fuss he's in there 55 though, I don't think so. Albert Collins should be higher. Rory Gallagher should be in the top 30, tremendous player. Peter Green, top 30, 35. Peter Green, maybe top 25. Oh, how we got Hank Marvin in here. I'm glad they put a little thing. It says Forgotten Masters. Hank should be in the top, definitely be in the top 50, and they've got him in there. Maybe higher than that. Robbie Robertson. You know, I can dig that. Robbie is just had his own tasteful way. The band is tremendous. He's that guy that always knew what the song needed, and so much respect for him being in there. Ron Ashton. Now, see, I don't know anything about Iggy, the Stooges. I don't see. I'm not even sure I would. I'm sure I would recognize his music if I heard it. I don't know him. Dickie Betts. I'm glad they put him in here. So Dickie, yeah, Dickie should. If Dickie's in there, here we got Johnny Winter. We got Robert Fripp. Fripp is just fripping crazy. He's a tremendous player. Some bizarre, crazy sounds and stuff he can do. Dwayne Eddy. Yeah, I can see that. Slash, yeah, top 65, I would say. You know, a lot of people kind of throw off on Slash. Slash has got a pretty good bag of tricks. He's a good player. He's got definitely some soul and great touch and another tremendous performer. I don't know how he pulls any of the mess off that he does with his hair and his eyes like that. I've never understood how he makes that happen. It's like sticking pages together. Leslie West, big time up. See me, I'd have put Leslie in the top 30, 35. T-Bone Walker, yeah. John McLaughlin, wow. Great player. Hard to grasp. You know, Mahavishnu Orchestra, what the heck he's with you. I mean, here again, any big, massive hits? No. So again, you got John. Again, why not Eric? Cliff Sedova, 1 Grammy. I mean, he's more influential on guitar players now, like Brad Paisley even. Bonamassa is influenced by him. Tons of guitar players try to emulate, try to learn the licks, try to learn the flow, the fluidity of how he plays. Robert Johnson, okay. So you got Robert Johnson in there, yeah. Okay, I get it here again. That's going way back, but who started the whole ball of wax rolling? I guess you could go back and Robert Johnson's got to be in there. Jack White, Richard Thompson, I told you that they'd be, yeah, so these guys, this is getting into a space where, yeah, they're good enough guitar players. I just don't know. Jack maybe more so than Richard, but anyway, I won't go off on that. John Frusciante, yeah, okay, now that's going to be controversial. Some people don't think he's that great. I think he's pretty good. I think, again, for the modern era from the 90s forward, yeah, he's pretty ripping. He can play. He's Kurt Cobain. Yeah, well, you can't deny that Kurt started a movement, did you? Can you? Or at least popularized something that became huge, and it's still even going. That sound even still goes today through the Foo Fighters. Well, and you know, here again, I won't get off on that. I'm going to get through this video. That'd be too dang long. Dick Dale. How many people has he influenced? Okay, if you don't know who Dick Dale is, go check it out. Dick is like the king of surf type music. But what a player. What a tremendous player. Joni Mitchell deserves to be in there. Here again, If Joni's in there, why not more ladies? Like I say, Nancy Wilson, maybe she'll be in here. I'm trying to think who else. And you know what? The other thing too, I don't understand why never any of the newer guitar players much are in this. I know they're looking at legends. Robbie Krieger, I think so. Robbie's not like a rip it up type guitar player, but he sure was influential, and he's been around for a long time. And the Doors killed it. I mean, one of those guys again. It's very tasteful. Willie Nelson, okay, I can see, but here you got a country guy. Now, why don't you have Brad Paisley? Why don't you have Jerry Reed? Why don't you have Vince Gill? Why don't you have, oh gosh, why don't you have somebody like, oh, who's the guy that's such a great Telecaster player? Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. Oh my gosh, studio guitar player extraordinaire. And I can't think of his name right now. I can't believe it. I'll put his name on there. Telecaster player, he's just absolutely freaking great. But so why don't you have more of these country pickers in here? These guys that really could burn it up from a country point of view. Mike Campbell, yeah, Mike's pretty awesome. Yeah, I can see why he'd be in there. Buddy Holly was another innovator. Buddy, just with his rhythm playing, was almost like lead, so I can see that. Lou Reed, okay. To me, I'm just not a big Lou Reed fan. I'm more from a songwriter point of view for me than just a player. Nels Cline, why don't I know who that is? Okay, full remake of John Coltrane. I do not know who Nels Cline is. I'm going to have to go check out Nels Cline and see who that is. Eddie Hazel, Funkadelic's Maggot Brain. See, I don't know that much about Eddie Hazel. Joe Perry, yeah, I can see Joe being in there. But why not Brad Whitford? Do you realize that a lot of the stuff that you think is Joe Perry is Brad? And Brad really is just as good as Joe. And so he's just as killer guitar player as Joe is. And maybe he's in here, but I doubt it. They always go for Joe because Joe had the look, right? Joe was the poser. He can play. He's a tremendous player. But why not Brad? Andy Summers should be higher in the list. Andy, not only with the Police, but with a lot of other people and as a studio guitarist, I think Andy should be in the top 40. Jay Massis, that's the Dinosaur Jr. dude? Yes. Dinosaur Jr., yeah, he's a good player. Top, yeah, okay. But he shouldn't be in here before Alex Lifeson if Lifeson's not even in here. James Hetfield, okay, he's the singer, pretty decent guitar player, but why not, good grief, I am like losing it in my mind. Kirk Hammett, right? Why not Kirk? Why isn't he like way ahead of James from a guitar point of view? Bonnie. See, I knew Bonnie would be in here. And in my opinion, Bonnie should be higher up than, what have they got her? 89. See, I think, for one thing, she's a dang good guitar player, very good singer. I think she should be higher up than Joni Mitchell. Not that she's as good a songwriter as Joni. Joni's better. But she's definitely a better player and a pretty dang good singer, tremendous singer. I think just equally as good a singer as a songwriter or as a player. Carl Perkins, yep, another huge influencer. Tom Verlaine, why am I having a hard time remembering who he is? Tom Verlaine's number 90. Again, forgive me for not knowing some people. Okay, I got Dimebag Darrell in here. Yeah, he was impressive. He's a pretty impressive player. Dave Davies, yeah, I guess you could say that. So Ray and Dave was the one that came up with all the riffs that influenced Eddie, right? Paul Simon, you know what? Kudos to them for putting a finger-picking, extraordinaire, melodic player in there. Paul Simon probably does deserve to be in there. If somebody like Paul Simon, then though, why not James Taylor? Why not, who else would be another one in that vein? Dan Fogelberg, people like that. But Paul is a legend, isn't he? Paul's a great guitar player. So I'm glad they put an acoustic finger picker in there. I think he deserves to be in the top 100. Peter Buck, I'm surprised. And yes, I think Peter Buck could deserve to be in there. I'm a big, losing my legend, REM fan. And yeah, Peter is tremendous. Roger McGuinn, yeah. Wow, that's he deserves to be in there. Bruce Springsteen is a way better guitar player than people give him credit for being. Bruce can actually shake it down. A pretty great guitar player. Steve Jones, they did put Sex Pistols in here, right? Johnny Rotten, yep. That's so Steve is in there. Look, Alex Lifeson, 98. Oh my gosh. Alex should be, I think, top 15. I think top 10. He'll never get the respect in books like this. Now here again, Guitar Player Magazine, Guitar World, people that, if it were more of a guitar-centered rather than music, influence of music type thing, then I think Alex would be, Lindsey Buckingham deserves to be higher up than 100. And Thurston Moore, who was at Sonic Youth. Here again, I don't listen much to their play, so who's not in here? A lot of people are not in here. They got people that voted. Oh, that's interesting. So you got people like Rick Derringer that were voters. Who else do I see? Some people. Gary Clark Jr. maybe ought to be in there. Trey Anastasio's who I was trying to think of from Fish earlier. See who else is in here. Elliot Easton of the Cars. Don Felder of the Eagles. Yeah, why not Don? Here again, he's not a singer. Here's Kirk Hammett is mentioned in here. Warren Haynes was consulted on these. So at least some of the people I think ought to be in here were contributors here. Alex Lifeson was in here as the people that voted. Mick Mars, Mick's great. Wow. Dave Mustaine, yeah, could have been in there, right? Vernon Reed could have been in there. Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes. Yeah, pretty dang great guitar player. More in the vein of what the band that it does and all though. You got Kenny Wayne Shepherd in here. Kenny's awesome. Let's see who else. Susan Tedeschi. Nancy Wilson voted. So Nancy was at least gave her input on this, and it looks like that they gave that at the end. Then they've got a thing, the Essentials playlist, and that would be a whole other thing. I can hold that up there where you can see. It looks like it's putting a suggested song to listen to from each one of these players. And they've got Hank Williams in here. Oh, so Chet Atkins played on Your Cheating Heart? Really? Well, I'll be darned. I did not realize that. Really? Okay. So anyway, pretty good. Pretty interesting. Tell me what you think. Now here again, I realize most of the people who are going to watch this are going to be guitar players, and you're going to have a total different list of who should be in there, because you're going to be looking at the people who can really lay it down, play it well, and give something that's melodic or something that's nasty and gnarly and that sets a mood or whatever, not necessarily serves the song. And so anyway, but it's still cool. It's cool for me to see what Rolling Stone will put out as opposed to what I think guitar players really dig about the guitar and who they really think are great. Put your comments in the comment section. Tell me who you think was not in here that should have been, could have been. Peace to all who watch. Subscribe to the channel if you like. Maybe we'll do another one of these with a different kind of list soon. Thanks.